Hey everybody, how we all going today? I hope you can hear me okay. Let me know if the audio and the video is all good from your end. I spent a little bit of time fiddling around with the video actually this morning to make sure that there's enough lighting. I hope you can see me all right. I'm just waiting for a few more people to show up. We have quite a few people in the chat. It's nice to see some familiar faces. We've got John Chan from Vancouver. How you doing, John? Pamela as well. I've got Pamela Meredith, one of my students. Robin, how you doing, Robin? Good to hear from you. And Jill Jones. We've got a few new faces around as well. We've got Iwan from Indonesia, and please forgive me if I do pronounce some of your names incorrectly. I'll do my best. I've got all the chats up on one screen, and then I've got the other screen that kind of monitors the videos. So if you see my head turning from side to side, that's what it's for. Essentially, just trying to look around. Oh, let me just get rid of some of these weird chats. Give me a moment. Sometimes we do get a bit of spam coming through, unfortunately. So Maria's asking about sound. I don't have any sound. So down the bottom right-hand corner of let me just reply to the thing. Check the bottom right-hand corner. Of course, you're not going to be able to hear this. The bottom right-hand corner, there's a little volume symbol. If you click that, you can actually adjust the sound. Video. Click the volume button. Okay, hope you can read that. We'll find out. I think a lot of you guys can hear. Vicky says you can hear. Diane also. It's just one of those things with Facebook. When you're streaming on Facebook, it doesn't automatically enable the sound for some reason on some people's pages, so you have to enable it manually. You can also click that little cog icon on the bottom right hand corner of the video, and you hover over it and it says settings. You can click that, and then you can increase the quality of the video to 720p, and that's the highest level of quality that I can stream to on Facebook, and that just allows you to be able to see a lot more clearer. Sometimes people say that the video is not clear and stuff like that. It's because of that reason. So just make sure you have that all set up and ready to go. Looks like we're all on time today. Hi Paula, nice to see you. Paula Roberts in the chats. So yeah, how you guys doing today? And let me know where you're from as well. We'd love to hear what a few stories from you guys, and also some ideas on perhaps some techniques and things you want me to cover today. Today I'm going to be going over how to paint an urban landscape, and this one I thought was an interesting reference photo. I was taking a look at some of the suggestions from everyone, what you guys wanted to see, and I thought, well, some people want to paint mountains, some people want to paint people, and some people want to paint buildings, and I think Anne was saying she wanted to paint flowers. I wasn't able to fit flowers into this one. Maybe next time. But I have done a flower tutorial for a previous one. So I thought this would be a good kind of combination one. So there's a few different subjects that we'll tackle in this scene. It's quite, there's certainly a lot of stuff in here, but I know a few of you were a bit worried about the reference picture and you're thinking, geez, like how am I going to paint this? But we will go through how to simplify the scene, and I'll try to make it as easy as I can for you. I think, choosing something that challenges you a bit, there's lots of tutorials and there's lots of workshops out there that will just go through like a quick template of, one flower, or I don't know, like a cup or something like that, like a very simple scene. And those are great, but I think you learn better when you challenge yourself, and especially when you have a scene like this that has so many different elements. If you practice with something like this, you're going to be completely fine with other types of scenes. Okay, so looks like we've got a few just waiting for a few more people to come in. I think we've got nearly 80 people, probably more. Just all the screens are kind of overlapping with each other, so sometimes it's difficult to see exactly what's going on. But I think we're good. Shanolan, how you doing, Shanolan? Some people were confused as well because the event, there was some kind of error on my other page, and it was saying that the event was starting at 12:30 a.m. last night, or in the morning, and of course I was getting to sleep around that time. But good to see that we're all here and ready to go. So basically, how these sessions usually run is like I go through a bit of my work. I go through my entire process. So I'll go through the drawing. We're going to sketch this from scratch. And what we're going to do is, if you have any questions during the session, just let me know. Just write them in the comments. I can't hear you because it's it's chats, but write it down in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you. I do have the comments all on the left-hand side of one of my screens, so they're all going at the same time. But I think that's the best way sometimes for me to get some feedback during the session, to hear if maybe you need a bit more explanation or a bit more help with a particular thing that I'm doing, or perhaps I'm not going into enough detail. I'd love to hear that and be able to help you out there on the spot. I think that's one of the great things about having these live sessions, and there's so many people here, and we're able to actually paint together and create something beautiful together. So it's great. We've got okay, Maria says she's got sound, fantastic. We've got Debbie from this is a tricky one, Saskatchewan, Canada. Michael's asking, how do you see the reference photo? Michelle. If you go into the event page and then click on the discussion section of the event page, you'll find the reference photo pinned to the top of the page. I think it's a second post actually. So if you go in there and have a look at it, it is in the corner of the video, but it's kind of small, as you can see. I just put it up there. But if I enlarge it too much, then you're not going to be able to see what I paint. So have a look at that, Michelle. It's just in, you probably got to open up another, actually, no, you should be able to go into it, the discussion section that's in there. We've got Sharon from Australia. Fantastic. Whereabouts, Sharon? I'm in Melbourne, guys. For those of you who don't know, I'm an artist, a watercolor artist. I do other stuff as well. I'm actually experimenting around with a few different things like polymer clays and also light painting. So that's something new that I'm going to be posting on the channel probably in the next month or so. Lynn, how you doing, Lynn from California? Marion's asking, did you put up what colors we're using today? I didn't see it. They're in the description of the event, Marion. Don't worry too much about colors, guys, but a lot of time I just use the same ones. So yellow ochre, I use a bit of Hansa yellow. I've got some orange. This is a bit of quinacridone orange. You don't really need that, to be honest. A bit of red, pyrrole red, or if you've got permanent red, that works fine too. I've got a bit of cerulean blue. Let's think. I've got some green, like a darker green, undersea green. I've got some earth tones and maybe some purples. I've got a bit of neutral tint, which is like a dark. Running out of it. There's only a little bit left in there. I probably should just move this over so you can see what I'm talking about. And I've given it a little bit of a clean. So one of my warmer colors are on the right hand side of the palette, and then through the center I start just getting them into the cooler side of things. So when I talk about warm and cool, warm is sort of yellow, orange, red colors, and then cooler, all the blues, greens perhaps, purples, and then finally neutral tint, which is like a black. Essentially, it's just a mixture of your three primaries. It's a convenience color. I tend to use this pretty often because I just get lazy mixing the three colors together and trying to get the right proportions when I can just pick that up. So it is one of those things. I might lock the focus on the camera as well, guys, because I notice it's going in and out of focus. I'll refocus it a bit later on the page. I tend when I move my hands around a lot, sometimes the camera goes in and out of focus. White gouache. So this stuff here, you'll need this at the end. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's just a little thing I like to do. I like to add in little highlights on top. Some of you might have acrylic, white acrylic. That works well too. Thinking what else you could use. Yeah, that's about it. So brush wise, these are the brushes that I use. So I've got a bunch of these mop brushes. Okay, you notice with watercolor mop brushes, they have a large belly, so they can pick up lots of water, but they still have a nice point on top. So I think that's pretty crucial with watercolor brushes, being able to have something that is like detailed, fine enough to cut around shapes, but picks up a lot of water. And then of course I've got round brushes like this. This is a number 6 round brush, and pretty typical round brush. It's a synthetic brush, and this just lets you detail. Really, I'll probably only use these two mop brushes and this round brush. Perhaps just thinking maybe I don't know if I actually use anything else. These brushes are the main brushes though. People ask me how large the brushes have to be. It just depends on the bit of paper that you're using. So for example, I'm going to be painting a little larger today, in terms of the size of about A3 size. So it's a 1/4 sheet. These ones I've done previously were 1/8 sheet. So as you can see, they're kind of like double the size, right? So if I'm going to be using a teeny little brush like this to do a big wash throughout the paper, you can imagine that's going to be quite frustrating. So you want to pick a brush that's appropriate to the size of the paper that you're using. I've got all dust and stuff on the paper. It's just sort of, oh well. So something like these two would be pretty good. Okay. I might have to adjust the exposure of the camera as well. If you do notice that maybe it's a bit difficult for you to see the drawing, I'll lower it and then I'll increase it again. But yeah, and so you picking a brush based on firstly the size of the shape, the size of the thing that you're painting. If you're painting a big sky, you're going to need a big brush, and if you're painting a small person, you're going to just need a little one like that. You're not going to use this gigantic one to try to paint a person, because that's going to be, look, you're going to just mash everything together. So paper I'm using is 100% cotton watercolor paper. I recommend you guys to get that. I wish I'd started out using this earlier when I started painting, because there's a bit of a learning process to using cotton watercolor paper, but once you get it, you can just produce really amazing wet and wet effects, and that's not possible on cellulose normal paper. So it's the traditional stuff that's always been used. Of course, it's more pricey, but what I tend to do is that I buy it in big sheets, so whole sheets of 76 by 54 centimeters, and I just cut it and tear it down, and it's a lot more price efficient that way. So I think it's, in Australia, we really pay about $8 or something a sheet of paper, and when you tear it down, you can do something like 8 paintings or something like that. So, and if you're spending all that time on your painting, you're spending 2 hours or even 1 hour on your painting, I think it's good to have something, spoil yourself and get yourself something that that's going to last. So, and be able to portray the effects you want to. Vicky's asking, is that a porcelain palette? Yep, it's a porcelain palette. This one was about, I don't know, I think about $15-20 online through Amazon. I put a link to it in one of my other videos, or it might be in this one down the bottom, I can't remember. But it's a pretty good deal. I mean, how many wells are there? Like 17 or something? I don't know, it's about 17 wells. And I've been using this really often, and especially with these larger paintings, you see you've got these really big, they're almost the size of my hand, right? If I squeeze it in there, large mixing wells. It's so easy to mix up a large amount of paint. If you're painting a large bit of sky, for instance, it's kind of difficult if you've got just this tiny little well to mix in all the paint together. So yeah, that's just my suggestion. How you doing, Danielle from Brisbane? Have you been here before? I don't recognize you, but thank you for coming. Susan Young from Virginia, US. Just trying to go through the chats a bit. And Sue from Texas. And Serena's here as well. Love your palette. Thanks. And it's a little bit messy, as you can see. I've done a clean up. It tends to be my monthly ritual where I clean the palette a bit before this workshop, so that I don't horrify some of you. Those of you who've watched the previous workshops, been here for last year or so, you know that I terrible at cleaning my palette. So yeah, like I said, during the workshop, just let me know if you need any help. We'll start in just a moment. Again, this is just a few of my paintings that I've done. These take roughly an hour or maybe 1.5 hours max on them. I don't spend too long on these paintings because I like to, well, firstly, I'm impatient. And that might come as a surprise for some of you, but I am impatient when it comes to paintings. I want to find the most efficient way to portray a scene, and also the style. I like that kind of energy that you get through loose painting. You got something like this, which is kind of looser, but not really. It's more some drawings, but that didn't take too long as well, maybe an hour and a half. That's another example. So, I'm a big fan of just implying what's going on in there rather than trying to state the obvious. And, some of them turn out better than others. And some of them I really don't like at all. But I think the ones that you don't like, you tend to learn a lot from. So, yeah, a lot of these are actually from previous workshops. Some of them were requested by viewers, which was really nice. What else do I have in here? Just quick little scenes like that. As you can see, just trying to find a way to paint everything in with the least amount of brush strokes. Okay, it doesn't take much to indicate a boat or a night sky. Of course, some of them take a little bit longer, but for the most part, even something like that, quick little street scene. We'll do something kind of in this style, but maybe a little bit more detailed. This one didn't take me long to do. Just trying to find all the light and those shadows and emphasizing them. It's kind of, it's almost like a duotone painting, isn't it? So you've got all the light, almost the same tone, and then you've got all the darker shadows as well. So I'll sort of teach you what my process is, and we'll go from there. At the end, I like to talk a bit about some of the courses I have running as well, my other paid courses. But this one is a session I do every month, and just to get out there a bit and get everyone involved painting. So I've got a couple of Facebook groups, and it's good to see people just getting practicing together and improving their watercolors. It gives me something to do as well. Otherwise, I'll just sleep in today. That's why I'm up. Thank you. Let me look through. Thank you, Susan. Diane says, "Love your loose style." Cheers, Diane. All right, guys, that's enough of chatting for me. Now, I think we've got 110 people on, so stick with us. And I want you guys to remember that often, as adults, we always think of the end result of everything, and I want you to try to think of just enjoying the process. Yeah, kind of, it's difficult to explain, but with kids, when you give them something to do, like, if you think about it, if you give them like some paintbrushes or some pencils and stuff, they don't really care about what it looks like, whatever they paint, whatever they draw. They just enjoy the process, and that's the key to improving. It's being consistent with it, not worrying too much about, having an idea of where you want to end up, but not going too harsh on yourself if it doesn't work out exactly how it goes. I think making it through is one of the most important things, and you get that brush mileage and the experience through it. Okay, not even all of my paintings work out. I got a lot of them that look terrible, and I just don't show them because I'm embarrassed. So the practice is what counts. Why not both? Daniel says, "Love the line of wash first time live." Wow, awesome. And why not both sleep in and then paint? Oh, I did kind of sleep in today actually, but yeah, I got in here in time, which is good. I don't want to keep anyone waiting. Fantastic. Carol from Finger Lakes, New York. All right. So I hope you have your reference photo up. Have the reference photo up in the corner of your screen, or if you've got it printed out, you can do a double screen on the same screen as well, just to see. Just have that up at the same time. I'm gonna draw a little bit. I'll probably draw a little bit darker so that you guys can. I'll use this larger pencil so you can see what I'm doing. How's that? It's going to be a little bit tricky because I've got the light directly above. It's one of those things. It looks better once you've looks a lot better once you've actually got some of the color in. Expand my photo out. And what I'm doing here, I'm just putting a line where the ground is. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Look, I mean, I've not even got that one in so well there, but just a line where the ground is. And the way I place this line is that I look at everything else in comparison to that. So let's look at, say, the middle of the page, okay? We can take that reference picture and divide it straight down the center. And then we have a look at this line at the bottom here. It's kind of an imaginary line, basically. It's where all the buildings finish off. It's roughly half of the distance between the middle of the page and the bottom of the page. So that's where I'm tentatively putting in the bottom of those buildings or what have you. Okay, the most simple part of the painting, but or the planning process, but the most important part, because you have to make sure that's not too high or too low, because then you miss out and the buildings will appear too low. So again, divide that paper kind of about imaginary line halfway through the scene, and then divide that by another half and draw a basic line in there. Let's have a look here. We've got this, just drawing this line coming in the page. See this footpath? Again, there's a footpath here, and then you've got the road, and the footpath and road, they kind of intersect right here in the middle of the page. Can you see that? When the road sort of starts here in the middle of the page, they're not, yeah, it's almost like they combine together. Has anyone been to this place before, by the way? This is Cusco in Peru. It's a random photograph that I found online through Pixabay. It's royalty free, and I just thought it was amazing. It's just all the details and all the life and buildings, and I really like the light that's on the side of the building as well. I thought that was pretty nice. So yeah, that's why I picked this one. And you've got some mountains off in the background as well, so we'll learn how to tackle those. This wall, can you see this wall? It's like a really big wall, and it kind of finishes, not in the middle, but about a little bit above the middle part of the page, like there. So we're just planning in where everything is. We're not really drawing that much. I'm really just getting in a little indication. So here, example, there's a building up the top, like there, closer. So I'm just trying to put that one in like that. You know, we'll start focusing a bit on some of these other buildings to the left as well. And you know, we've got that road in, roughly where that road in is, and we can start. Look at this. We can start actually. Let me think. Probably we want to divide these two buildings in half. Okay, we know that the side of this building starts around about here. Okay, and this one looks really cool. I wonder what this is. Looks like a church or something. Yeah, I think it might be a church in the background. Really nice. And let's have a look. So from here, from the side of this building to the edge of the paper, okay, I'm just trying to compare and have a look at where this light, this building here that's been lit up on the side, where does the edge of it fall? And it's not 100% down in the middle, but roughly around here. Okay, so it's like I'll just draw a line up like that. Okay, and let's have a look. There's maybe a side of that building like this. Maybe the way to simplify this down is to just look at it as a box. Okay, just a kind of a large box shape. That's the side of it here. Okay, side of that building to the left, almost like the roof, like that. Like a bit of sunlight on the roof. There. Okay, just coming further down. Okay, like this. All right. It's all kind of one big conjoined building, isn't it? Like that. It's like a triangle here. So looking at that, that's like a triangle, like for this roof that comes down like here. Make that kind of like around here. Okay. Let me just get that in. Double check it. Good. Just seeing if that's a bit wonky or not, but I think we should be okay. There, the side of that building, there's like a kind of, what you call it, shade here or something. There. Okay. Take your time with this, and you know, I always wish that I'd spent a little bit more time on the drawing in the past. Sometimes I have to erase things as well. In fact, I think I might just redo this one. This mark, this little area, this little marker here should be where the building kind of finishes off. So I've come short of that. That's why I use little indicators like that. Because sometimes when you're drawing, it's easy to miss that kind of thing out. There we go. So that's kind of like the shade, the bit of the shade of the roof coming out this side or something. Okay. Of course, you've got like windows here. There you go. Look, some windows. Just drop in a few vertical lines like this on the side of the buildings there. Okay. A little bit like that. And what will happen is that noticing how the light hits the right hand side of the building. Yeah, get a little bit of light here. I'm probably going to make a bit more light on the ground, just to emphasize it more. Barbara says, been to Cusco, Peru. It's beautiful. Wow, you're pretty lucky, Barbara. Would love to go someday. Okay, no, there's nothing in the chat, so I'm assuming you guys are doing okay. But yeah, let me know how you're going. Okay, and remember, just give it a shot. Yeah, just give it a shot. It's not. We're just trying to create an impression of this particular scene. We're not trying to. To cover it exactly and get everything in exactly. Okay, just get a little impression of it. Okay, just looking at this little shade on the side of this building, I feel like that's not really enough to imply this little bit here. I'll just redo that. Okay. At the end of the day, once you actually get the paint in, it doesn't matter a great deal. It's just more the positioning of everything and making sure that you've got the buildings in the right places, you know, so it's not too wide. Okay, and you've noticed at the bottom as well, look, there's all these like doors and stuff here. Who knows what that is? There's even some lamps. Okay, and you don't really have to draw them in. I'm gonna just put a little line there to indicate. Apart from that, I don't think I'll do anything else. Underneath this rooftop as well, you can see there's like these little lines like that. Okay. Okay, it's kind of like cuts in front of this building, doesn't it? Like that. Like that. Okay. So we've got kind of this shade here. And of course, if you can color it in a little bit with pencil if that helps you to remember. Importantly, there is a shadow underneath that shade, and the shadow extends all the way. And always just try to keep this in mind, because it takes a little while to remember it and to sort of see the light and the shade. But you've got all the light here, but then underneath you've got this shadow on the side of that building, shadow on the side of that building. Underneath there, okay, It's really going to be important because later we have to leave those areas. Make sure that we don't color them in. There's some kind of, I don't know what this is. It's like a couple of poles and like a gate or something like that here. Okay, so I don't know, just something like that will be fine. But let's start putting in some people, yeah? And yeah, people can be tricky to add in. I'll just try to do one. I'll show you what it looks like. So you start with the head, kind of like do it darker maybe for you. Darker sort of head, kind of this rectangular oval-like shape. The body, just sort of, let me hold the pencil a little bit more on the edge, longer. And then legs, 2 triangles like this. Okay. Maybe just put in another one like that. Okay. There's someone walking along on the street. Maybe it's someone holding a bit of shopping or like a bag or something there. Okay. Don't worry about details, just more the positioning and the proportions of the bodies. Normally the head will fit into the body 7.5 times. Into the entire length of the figure. Okay. Fantastic. And let's look at getting in this building here in the background, this church. Okay, let's simplify this down. We've got a rectangular shape that just runs kind of all the way across like that. Okay, it's a rectangular base or whatever. And then we've got this kind of bit that comes up like this, like a triangular bit there. And then we've got 2 other rectangular bits that just go up like this. Okay, so I'm just going to simplify this down. 2 other rectangular like bits. Okay, and this is interesting because now actually I might have to make this a little bit wider because I've noticed this this bit of it actually comes up here. Let's have a look. And I don't want to make this tower, these little towers on top of the church, like too detailed as well, because as it's further off in the distance, in the background, and I tend to reduce detail in the background because that is what creates a sense of depth in your painting. Okay, let's have a look. Just get this one in like that. It's kind of a couple of stories or something. Yeah, there's windows, just put in the edges of the windows. Here, there's one here, here. I'm a little bit short of this rooftop here, but it doesn't matter. Okay, this is more, feels like it's kind of like a face-on part of this building, isn't it? And the most important thing is we just got to make sure this building in the background is darker. The darkness is going to bring out the light here. So just a quick little sketch of that off in the distance. Okay, there's of course little bits and pieces on the top of this building. Let's have a look. There's like a couple of doors and stuff here as well. Yeah. Bring that down. It's kind of coming across there like this. Let me know how you're going. Okay. Look at how loose I'm drawing as well. I'm really not fast at getting all the little details in. Okay. Pardon me. Just mute. Drink of water. Roy from Winnipeg. Do you prefer detail or a more loose style? I prefer looser style with these type of scenes, especially with natural scenes of nature and stuff, because it just gives you a bit more artistic freedom. When you're talking about portraits, yeah, I probably focus more on detail because, yeah, I think attention to detail with portraits is more important, especially if you're trying to get a sense of portraying your subject and that sense of likeness. Okay. So, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Okay. And as you can see, again, it's I'm a little bit short of where that rooftop ends. Doesn't matter. You know, it's just a different camera angle. Think of it as that. If the photographer just moved a little bit to the right or something, you might see it. These little things no one really notices except for us, because we have the reference picture, of course. But once it's all and done, you know, look at your painting away from the reference photo, and you'll often be surprised. Even after a day or so, when I go back and look at things that I've painted, initially I didn't like them, but afterwards I think to myself, hey, that actually looks okay. So I think a bit of art, I've said this before, but you know, it should stand separate from the reference photo, and you know, an over reliance on it, for me, it makes it a little bit stressful to paint. when I'm trying to emulate exactly what's out there, it's you know, you tend to get bogged down with all the little details, and then the sense of comparison, looking at, oh, you know, it doesn't look like the reference photo, that starts to kick in. But with these particular scenes, you have to have just enough detail in here to imply the location. Okay, just a little indication. I mean, it's not just going in there and just hoping for the best at the same time. So I think, well, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, rambling a lot, but it's trying to strike a balance between looseness, a bit of artistic freedom, and of course representing the subject to a degree. Okay, you see here, I'm just trying to draw the bottom of these like towers or whatever in. I'll have to widen this one a little bit, maybe like here. Just want to get them kind of even here. But you can see the doors or the windows here, I've placed them a little bit too far, not in the center, so I'll center these ones a bit more. Just scribbling around on the paper until it kind of comes in all right. Look at these. There's these umbrellas here. We can get in some of these. They're just these little shapes like that. These little red umbrellas. These are cool. Let's put some of these in. Yeah, I'll go a bit darker in the pencil so you can see what I'm doing. Can you see that? There's a few of these overlapping umbrellas. Okay. There's a truck or some kind of car here. It's just a rectangle. Look at that. It's like a cereal box, and it's got a side and edge of it like that. Okay. It's just a bus or something like that. Yeah. Little bus off in the distance. Is that bus large enough? I think that should be okay. Okay. Windscreen there. Right. It's just a box. Good. So we've got the buildings in. Thank God. Like from this side. Now we just got to finish off these buildings here on the right side. Okay, as you can see, I've just gone through and started putting little bits and pieces on. This car here in the front, we might start working on it. Let's go and put in the windscreen like this. The front of the car, like that. Okay. And trying to look at that car and look at the person as well. You notice the person is a bit taller than the car. You know, normally when you stand side by side with the car, you're going to be a little bit taller than that car. So you don't want to make that person too small. So another thing I do is that I get the heads of the figures. Now the land is mostly flat here, this area. So you noticed all the heads of the figures. See, they kind of just line up on the horizon line here. Just on that line where we had drawn originally at the bottom, you know, and I can just go in and put in a few little figures here, you know. This one can maybe be walking across the scene like that. I don't know, something like that. Couple here, a bit of shadow running to the left. This shadow coming across the ground is something I'm also thinking about modifying a bit, because it's quite dark. It's quite dark on the ground, and I want it to look a bit more, just have a bit more light in there, a bit more contrast. There's that wheel in the back. There we have it. It's a really basic looking car, but it's something, right? What do you think? Does it look like a car? I hope so. Kind of. Where's that shadow of that underneath? Yeah, so the shadows are running to the left-hand side of the scene. Okay, there we go. Just put in the front, what do you call them, lights, like that. Maybe part of that radiator there. There are people in there. There's people in the car, but I don't know if I'm gonna bother with like the detail of that. Maybe later we'll see how we go. Okay, there we go. We've got the rooftop of the car. That's a car, isn't it? As you can see, like I kind of go to and in between elements. I'll draw the building, draw some people here and that, here and there. Okay, there are these buildings here. A lot of stuff here in the background. Really, it's so much. It's so much. You don't have to draw them all in. Just make up a few little shapes, like on the side of that building. Oops, that's not straight enough. This could be like an opportunity to get in like the edge of this building. I like just, you know, it's not really there in the reference photo, but just an edge of the building, something like that. Maybe something like here on behind it. Bits and pieces of other buildings in the background. Okay, just simplify down to just boxes and stuff. Yeah. And then here, where this wall kind of comes in. Oh, look at that! You've even got like a little, it's like a traffic sign or something, like a yellow orangey traffic sign here. I'll just draw that like in like that. I don't know. Maybe I won't put it in later, but we'll see. Taking time to sketch helps you to kind of plan out what you're going to do with your painting as well. Start already thinking where you're going to put the colors, where the light and the darkness is. Okay, this is just a box on the side, on its side. You see that? Just a box. And as you can see, everything is not positioned exactly as per the reference photo. It's a little bit off in places, but you know, you don't have to make it exactly. In fact, I often just change things around. I change things around intentionally to make them look more interesting or to emphasize aspects of the scene. What is going on here? It's part of the rooftop. I've done that building too wide, so I'll just reduce it like that. There we go. That looks better, doesn't it? There we go. That's the rooftop, and that's kind of in sunlight. We've got another one behind, you know, like that. We've got another one that just comes out like this, disappears off behind. And the buildings behind it are just like all smaller. You can not really tell what's in there. Okay, I think this building here and this one here are probably the most important ones to get, you know, with a bit more detail in this, in the right hand side of the scene, because they're just so close. When you got buildings that are that close, you need to put in a bit more effort. Okay, windows. Okay, some more windows here. Something like that. Okay, let's have a look at this one. I like this house. I might actually even I might leave that with a bit of light there as well, almost like indicating some light coming through, hitting the side of that building. And this one I'll just darken down completely, this large one here. Got this wall, not really noteworthy, this wall. I almost kind of just want to change it. It looks in the way, but I'll use this to form a big shadow coming across the scene. I've got a few people coming in here. I don't really like these things on the road. I don't know what they are. They're kind of like little things that stick out on this little path. So I'm not going to put them in. So let's put in some people. Okay, here's a few. There's like a group of 4 people walking in. Okay, so here I've got the head of one, head of a second one. Maybe I'll put a head here, like that. And let's just draw in the bodies like this. Kind of holding some kind of jumper or whatever. Blue jeans, walking into the scene. This person kind of has like a backpack on like that. One leg forward, facing that way. Oop, big shoe. And another one here, kind of like this. Just quickly scribble that in. Oh, and there's another person maybe here overlapping, and then this person here. Looks like he's got some kind of like bag on he's carrying some kind of bag as well. Okay, I like to make sure that I've got people of different sizes in this scene. So, you know, you've got smaller ones in the background, which is another thing with perspective as well. As you look into the distance, you'll find shapes, buildings, everything really just decreases in size. And that's how you create this illusion of depth in your painting. So you really need to study that reference photo, and it takes time to figure this out. You know, even just putting in some of the shadows, just, you know, running towards that left-hand side to guess. You know, there's so many people in this scene, and I think it's a mistake to put them all in, because there's just too much going on, yeah? So I want to simplify, just pick out a few. I'm trying to place where the bottom of these buildings end. I think like here. Where is it? It's kind of tricky, isn't it? Where to find the bottom of that building, but we'll figure it out. Something like that. Smaller people here. Normally I'll draw in a smaller pencil as well. Not a smaller pencil, what do you call it? Like one with a thinner bit of lead on it. But I think just doing it this way, you're going to be able to see better on the camera what I'm doing. So we have, I think anyway, we have a scene of something, yeah? Resembles that reference picture, okay, in terms of some of the buildings and the bit of the energy that I've captured in here. What do you think? Okay, and when you have a good plan, as you all know, when you're doing anything, when you have a good plan, you feel more confident doing what you need to do after. So that's what your drawing is about. And I'm talking you through my process, what's going through my head as I am doing the drawing as well. What else should we put in? I know there's like a lamppost here or something. I won't draw that in. One big thing we got to do, these mountains here in the distance, just a very, very light indicator of the mountains. Okay, just in the background there. I'm also thinking at this point, how am I going to paint these mountains in? I'm going to paint these mountains in because we have all this light here on the top of the building. So we've got to make sure the mountains in the background are kind of darker in certain points. You see there's even shadows on the mountains. Okay, but using the darkness on those mountains to cut around and create a negative shape for the buildings in the front is something that I'm going to show you how to do. Okay, there we go. A bit of sky up the top there. Bit of sky up the top. There's little buildings in here. Look at that. It's all so many little bits and pieces there. Again, I'm not really looking at what's in there, but just little squares and stuff maybe to remind myself to cut around them. Forgot a bit of this rooftop here that's just running across like that behind that building. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's pretty much the drawing for you. As you can see, I'm pretty relaxed doing it. Probably the most difficult parts of these buildings, they're tricky. Some of them just where they interact, measuring them out and making sure that you've got the right width on some of these buildings too. Okay, let's have a look. Do we have anything else we want to put in here? Not really. Not really. You know, I can just sit here and keep detailing for ages. But again, I think it's best to do all as much detailing as you can with the brush. It's just more time effective that way. And you know, the figures and stuff, you know, it's up to you how much detail and how many of these figures you want to put in here. I certainly, my favorite bit of this at the moment is these figures here in the foreground. I really like them, these larger figures, and this kind of like crowd, like just, I don't know, it could be like a family or something like that, just going through the scene. Okay, tells a bit of a story. They're walking through. Okay, but of course, then you've got smaller figures here in the background. That head of the figure is too big. Just reduce it down a bit like this. Okay, that's one thing. I can't deal with figures that have too big heads when you put them in. You just got to get those proportions correct. It's got some of those umbrellas and stuff. What's this? It's kind of like shades on this building, hey? There's like, what is it? There are these like shades like this running down on the side of these buildings, you know what I mean, like that. And I can see a couple of them catching the light, so I want to just draw, see that, just draw them in, see how we go later. A couple of these little shades or what have you, could be anything. There could be umbrellas here as well. Okay, just an opportunity to get in a bit of a highlight or something like that, something different in there. Okay, we are done with the drawing. How long's it been? It's been about maybe 30 minutes on the drawing, a lot longer than usual, but I'm going a bit slower as well to make sure that you guys can follow along with me. Kate says, Darren, have to leave early. Look forward to the replay. Thanks, Kate. I'll catch you later. If you got questions, just let me know, and I'll help you out. We've got Josephine Gamboa from the Philippines. Welcome, Josephine. I don't think I recognize you. Are you new here? And I'm just still checking around the chats, guys. How you doing? Are you going okay with the drawing? I hope you're still with me. Stick with me. We haven't started the painting yet, and there's a lot I really want to go through. So, let's start with a bit of mixing. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, actually. I'll bring the palette over. So you can see a bit of this mixing that I'm doing. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be using maybe like a smaller mop brush. Okay. The first wash is the most important wash because you're just getting in all the light colors. Doing the sky, which is like bluish, and then we've got some of these mountains, and then also the light on the side of these buildings, a bit on the ground as well. So in terms of the consistency of color that I'm mixing up, I'm just going to be picking up really, really light mixes. So if you see what I'm doing here, I'm just picking up a bit of this yellow ochre, right? But most of that's just water. It's mostly maybe like 80 to 90% water. Not much paint in there at all. So when we're doing this first wash, that's the consistency I want you guys to focus on. Okay, and through this lighter wash, I sometimes pick up a bit of darker concentration of a paint and just dab it in on the paper. So while we're doing some mixing on the palette, the main reason we're doing the mixing on the palette is to make sure that this pool of water is the right consistency, that it's diluted enough that we get 80 to 90% water in there. When I do the mixing on the paper, which is just picking out a bit of paint, flicking it in there, that's basically just adding a little bit of tonal variation. Okay, I'll show you a bit later, but I want you to focus on making sure you're practicing this mixing. Just pick up that paint and just think, is that light enough? It should be a kind of I don't know, like a T or less than that, really, like a really, really light mix. And to the point where it just looks too weak, but it's not, because we haven't gotten in the shadows yet. Okay, Anne says, I've been to Costco and loved it. Well, that's a couple of lucky people here who've been there. Must have some good photos from there, Anne. Okay, Daniel says, next time I will definitely print the drawing and tab beside the video. Yeah, it does help. I've got a few screens up and that makes it easier, but I know most people are on their laptops or on their phones or stuff like that. It can be tricky. But look, so if you've got something like this, something similar, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just a bit of practice, and you can always redo it later and give it a try. So let's go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do is put in some colors for what am I going to do? I think I'm going to put in some colors for the buildings and the mountains in the background first. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So again, that little wash of yellowish color that I had before, just dropping that in. I also got a bit of burnt sienna, and I can drop that in as well. Notice just how quick I'm going in here. I tend to pick up also a little bit of other yellows, like Hansa yellow, which is a very light and vibrant yellow. And I use the most vibrant bits of paint to preserve just these areas of interest like that on the side of the buildings. Okay, at this point of the painting, your goal is not to get in any details. All we're doing is we're trying to get in a nice little indication of the light in here. That's what we're doing. We're painting the light. Okay, so I'm saving, making these, the top of these part of this church, like kind of really light and vibrant. Put in more yellow up the top there. It's kind of more than what is in the reference, even, because I just want to draw some more attention to it. Okay, little bits of whites in there as well. You see how I'm not painting the entire bit of paper. I'm actually leaving parts of white, specks of white and stuff in there as well. That's really helpful because it lets you indicate some highlights early on. Let's go down. I might pick up some more brown. It's starting to look too yellowish, so some more brown. And this is what I mean when I say I'm mixing on the paper. I pick up a bit of that brown, right? Just drop it in there, into that building. See that? Kind of just mixes in there, right? Yeah. Here. There. Let's get some more of that vibrant yellow, a bit more of yellow ochre here in the background there. I'm going to need to just paint the sides of some of these buildings. Just get that out the way. Let's just drop that in. Do something like that. Just warm colors, essentially. A bit of warm colors. Got some brown. I'll just drop a bit in there. All in the background. Look at all that. There's all kinds of stuff going on in these mountains, and the trap here is that you just try to paint it all in, but there's no way you can do all that. So I'm just doing this little bit of cutting around, as you can see, to just leave bits of white and stuff in there. They just indicate perhaps some of these houses and things that are back there, and that way I don't get all bogged down in details, because it's not important what's in the back there. It's not part of that story I want to tell, which is this scene, this sort of street scene here of people walking through, having a good day. Okay, this is just stuff in the background to help you indicate the locality, but it's not something I want to focus on and draw too much attention to. This building here to the right, I'm going to just pick up a bit of this color. This is called buff titanium. It's kind of like a whitish, off-white color, and I'm going to paint this in. Okay, just all pretty light colors, and this is funny because I think a lot of this is going to be just in shadow afterwards. I'll go over the top with a bit of purplish color, so that's going to be gone later, but just a little bit of that color will be good. Here I might pick up a bit of this what is this color? A bit of gray on the palette that I have left over. A bit of the neutral tint. Drop that into this wall. But I want to have some bits of brown in here as well. This is why I've got some of this neutral, not neutral tint, but burnt sienna. Just drop that in the wall. Notice some bits and pieces will just like blend together. That's fine. Okay, here, what do we got here? Just getting a bit, oh, this building here, that's almost like white. But I want a little bit of color in there. Let's just figure what color am I going to make that. Like a really light yellow. Maybe just watered down more milky with a bit of that color. Yep, something like that. It kind of looks like nothing at the moment, but you will find once we put the shadows in that you'll be glad you left this bit in really light. Watercolors is funny. You're like thinking steps ahead, a few steps ahead, like playing chess. And down there, bit of this bottom part of the building. Yeah, this is just warm colors. I don't even know what color this is now. It's just mixed up in there. All the colors I've used so far are just warm colors. Okay, I will cut around this bus, leave a bit of white highlight there. I'm bringing all this watery mix down the page here. Also these umbrellas and stuff here, I can just like drop in a bit of red paint or something, just something red paint in there, like that, light color. Okay. Pardon me. Oh yeah, Michelle says pink might work. Yeah, pink works. Paint these umbrellas whatever color you want. I think, just making it your own, and making it your own is important. Just drop that in there. It's a bit more of that brown, bit of that darkness in there. Oh, I've forgotten these other parts of the mountain, so we need to just do this while the paper is still wet. Okay, there's kind of greeny bits in the mountains, some areas as well. It's kind of like green, brown, yellowy color. I might actually just go over the top of this one too, part of the roof top. Okay, there, a bit more brown in here. It's all just warm colors, guys, so I'm not concerned too much about what the exact color is. I just want a bit of variation in there so that it's not all the same. But as you can see, it's just yellows and browns. Okay, this house as well is kind of like, maybe it's got this kind of slightly milky color in it. Just get a wash in there so that it's just a light wash of color. It's all very much the same consistency of paint, as you can see. It's all quite diluted down, mostly just water in this wash. We don't want to put in any darks with that initial bit of water we're laying down on the page, but I will show you how to add in a little wet detail in just a moment while I get this this mountain done in the background. Just a bit of darkness there. Okay, but around the same consistency. Now the sky, we will need to put in a bit of blue. I'm going to pick up a bit of cerulean blue. Let's just drop that in. Lights as well, same consistency, very light, and not much paint in there at all. Maybe I'll use this bigger brush. I'm going to need more of this paint. Oops. Cerulean always looks a bit washed out when you use it, even if you use it straight. It's just a nice sky color to pop in there. Okay, and if I can get it to blend a bit with the mountains and areas, why not? That's okay. There we go. There. Okay. So we've got maybe some bits that join on a little bit, but some bits of white there as well. Okay, so that's it for the sky. Quick little thing like that. I'm going to move down the page and just continue to start putting in bits and pieces here. Just carry this down, and I'm cutting around the figures too. Okay, the ground is yeah, this is interesting. I think what we'll do is just get in a bit of warmth for the ground. Okay, let me just get in this wall first, because remember, we have not really gotten in any of those dark colors yet, so we're generally just painting the light. All right, so I'm going to get in some more of this warmth, a bit more of that kind of bit of that milky color or whatever through here. It's funny because these days I don't really use too many vibrant colors in my painting. I've gone more towards oh no, what's going on here in the top? This bit of the sky is dried funny. See that? Just get rid of those weird little bubble things. There we go. Hopefully it dries all right. Okay, right here. So just getting a bit of warmth in on the ground. So then when we put that big shadow coming in from the right hand side, then the ground has some light on there. Okay, because I want to, like I mentioned before, I want to get in more light than is actually implied in the reference photo, which means that I have to basically paint this in a bit of warmer color. Okay, I wonder if I'll do some softer shadows too across the wall, across the ground. Okay, that's your first wash. Okay, so you should have this, should be up to this stage where you've got a really light layer of color over everything. And around this stage is when I sometimes pick up a smaller brush or a smaller mop brush or something like that, like one of these. And I start thinking to myself, what can we do to add in additional details? And you know, a little bit of wet and wet work. So firstly, I think I will let's have a look. Drop in a bit of, you know, bit of texture, a bit of color in here, just in this brick wall. Okay, something like that. Oh, another thing we got to do is just make sure that these people have some color in them as well, so that they've got some, just to indicate like the shirts and stuff that they're wearing. I don't know what I've done here. I've gone too dark. It doesn't matter. Okay, just begin to start dropping in a little bit of darker paint in this section. Okay, you notice the bottom parts of these buildings are kind of darker, and then in the top part you've got more of the more of the indication of the light back there. But we're gonna have to redo those mountains a little bit and actually get in some of the light and darkness. So using those shadows in the mountains to cut around for these shapes as well in the front. Okay, great. I think I'll actually give this a dry in a moment. But yeah, so you got these jeans of these people, right? So a bit of cerulean blue there. Look at that. That's all you need. Just a little bit of that blue in there. Then it kind of looks like they're wearing jeans. Yeah. What else do we have in here? Maybe like a brownish shirt. This lady's wearing like a brownish kind of shirt. Put in a bit of that color, like that. Pants are like dark, quite dark color actually. But yeah, just a light wash for now. I'll have time to do more of that later. Okay, there. You know, you may even not want to add any color at this moment, but I do want to put in a quick little bit of color up in the top, especially like some warmer colors as well, like that. Okay. And again, the figures are kind of like a way to bring pops of color into areas, like, because you know, I've got a bit of purple. Is it purple? A bit of purple there. Okay, it's kind of just bring a bit of personality to this scene. You know, there's green. Look at that, a bit of green for this person. Got some orange. Just remember using light colors as well. So a bit of orange there. Look at that. That's someone there. The legs, you know, I can do some other like blue in there to make it look like that person's wearing jeans. Like this. Quickly just dab that in like that. They're all wearing jeans. I need to change it up now. Let's just put this person in with a bit of darker pants like that. There. Good. Just a light wash. I'm careful because it does spread. As you can see here, it's just starting to spread, so I can lift off with the brush. Okay. What should we do with this car? Maybe like just a bit of this darkness on the windscreen there as well, and underneath it, like that. I want to leave that right side of it exposed to the light. Same with this car. Perhaps a bit more of that shadow on the left hand side of it, but maybe the light catches onto the right hand side of that car. Okay, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to bring out a hairdryer, and this will speed up the drying process a little bit. If you guys got a hairdryer, you can use that, or you can just wait for it to dry and continue, because this is the most fun part of the painting. We are basically painting all the shadows and all the little details. Okay, so how are you going so far? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you have any questions as well on maybe something that you want me to go through in more detail, or perhaps explain. You know, a lot of people tend to have questions on color mixing, on layering, stuff like that. And yeah, I really simplify the colors down that I use into cool and warm colors. So cool and warm colors. As you can see, all the warm colors all in the background. Got some cool color in the sky, bit of cool color. Warm. Most of it's just warm. Okay, and it's mostly in the same tone as well. And when we talk about tone, talk about how light. Basically how light or dark that color is. Okay, and it's all just light colors. Ellen says, I'm just joining, and this is my first time watching a live tutorial. Welcome, Ellen, and thanks for coming along. And I've only just got started with the first part. You should be able to watch the replay afterwards. I'll leave the replay up there. Daniel says, falling behind. Oh no. I think some people are falling behind a little bit. Give it a look. Even if you go through this and the process once, I find the second time through it's a lot easier. Some of these sessions I actually do a quick sketch of the scene in my sketchbook. It takes me about 10 minutes to just really quickly do a quick sketch, and even just in pencil and a bit of paint. And I feel so much better after doing it a second time round, because you don't make the same mistakes, or it just feels easier the second time round, as you know, when you're practicing something. So I will dry it off. Hopefully that will give you guys a bit of time to catch up, and let me know what's been the most hardest part of the workshop so far. Is there something that I can help you out with while I'm here? right, Barbara's asking, is there a way we can see a bigger shot of the reference photo? Yes, there is. Maybe it's easier if I just send you the link of it, Barbara. It's in the event. If you go to the event and then you click on the discussions tab of the event, it will show you a pinned post. I think it's the second post up there, and that's the reference photo I'm using. But I only have like a smaller version up here on the screen. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. But give me one moment, Barbara. I'm just going to send you the link for that, and you should be okay. Copy, paste. Okay, there you go. Just click on that. Just click on that link, Barbara, and I'll take you straight to it. Yeah, if there's anyone still wondering about the reference photo, yeah, I've just pasted that in the links. In the oh, have I? Why can't I send it? This is a bit annoying. Give me a moment. It's unusual. Continue to send that link. Okay. Yeah, but it'll be, yeah, I've just replied to Barbara's comment. Asher's asking, hi Darren, missed the beginning of the session, time difference will be on YouTube. Yes, it will be. You can check it out after. I just like having people watching it online. I was freaked out for a second. I thought I had the microphone turned off. It's not the first time that I've had the microphone or the camera turned off and realized I was just talking to myself. Okay, so second part of the scene, we've got about, how many people do we have both on YouTube and Facebook? Probably about 80 people. Yeah, probably about 80 people here, which is great. And hang around to the end because I really want to see who makes it through. And it'll be good for you as well to, again, just make it through the whole process. And whether it stick through it. Okay, so we're going to paint all the shadows now. This is just one big shadow. Think of it that way. And firstly, we've got to look, where are the shadows? And normally we don't really question these things. When we look at a reference photo, we just look out to the world. We don't look at things and be like, oh, look, there's a shadow there for that person, or there's a lighter shadow than that shadow, or that shadow is the darkest, or there's the light on the building. We normally just look at it as a whole, and our brain interprets it, and it's just, it looks beautiful. But in a painting, we have to create those same elements of a light source, and shadows and light in here for it to appear convincing. If I just left it like this, it looks a bit one-dimensional, doesn't it? So you can't really relate to it. So that's why it's important. Anyway, just having a look. Thanks, Asha. Let's have a look. Anyway, it's just having a look around. Jocelyn, how you doing, Jocelyn? Got a few more people on YouTube. Yeah, I kind of stream here and I stream on YouTube and here at the same time, because it's just easier. I know for some people, it just makes things easier. And today it's been good. I've always found that there's been some issues with the stream, and it'll cut out, scare me halfway. But today it seems to be okay. Fingers crossed. And okay, so I'm going to pick up a small brush, kind of like this one, perhaps this one here, these like little mop brushes. We're going to mix up a shadow color and bring that palette over here so you can see what I mean when I'm talking about shadow color. So the way I mix shadows is a few different ways. So the easiest way is just use a color neutral tint. Okay, look at that, so pretty dark sort of color. Okay, but with shadows, I find having a bit of coolness in it, especially when you've got all these warm colors in the background, really looks a lot better having some cool shadows. So I tend to drop in a bit of purple. See, look at this purple color that I've got here, bit of blue, Even just blue mixed in with like brown or something like that works quite well. Okay, and you just modulate how much blue you put in there to make it a little more cooler. See, that's like a blue and brown mix. Or you can just pick up purple. Okay, for me, I'm not really too bothered about what the exact color is. I'm just hoping to get in a bit of this purplish type color. Here in the corner, I've got a bit of this is Lunar Black, which is a granulating black. Okay, when I mix this in with other colors, it creates, yeah, just a granulating color. I like that. So that's why I'm just mixing this together and hoping that all works out and creates some interesting variations in the shadows. But I want to have some kind of cooler purplish looking shadows. Okay, I think purple's a really, really nice shadow color. Okay, look at that. It's just a bit of grayish, purplish muck in there. In terms of water consistency, it's maybe 50% water, 50% paint. And with dark colors, even if you add a lot of water into them, they often still appear pretty dark. So if you look at it, it's kind of like a, yeah, the consistency of it, it's, I don't know how to describe it really, but a little bit thicker. Well, it's a lot thicker than the first wash that we used, right? That's about what you want to get. Okay, so bring that across. Oh god, I've got some of it on my painting. Hang on. Have a bit of tissue paper with you as well, and then you can dab up some paint like I did. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the shadows, guys. Okay, so again, I've got that paint I got mixed up. Let's have a look. What can we do? Now, I do also like that the building here is in this browny color. I'll drop in some of that in here as well. So it's kind of purple mixed in with a bit of brown. Okay, look at that. Just drop that in like that. There, and I'm just trying to leave the top of that building as well, but just get in kind of a light wash of this dark color here. Okay, a little bit of light, as you can see, cutting across that left hand side of the building, the right hand side, sorry, the right hand side. Okay, coming down. I'm trying to just get this all in one kind of big shape. All right, move that like that. Okay, this. Here's the important part where I want to cut around this sunlit part of that building here to the left. So extra darkness here. A bit more like this. Not just that, but these umbrellas as well. I want to preserve a bit of that light on those umbrellas. Okay. Good. There, just bit more darkness on the left hand side of that building here. Okay, as long as you got a bit of color to that left hand side, you'll be okay. Bit here, so we've got a bit on top as well, like that. There. All right, bring this down. Some of you might even want to be a bit more ambitious and do something like a sharp shadow coming across the building like this. I don't know if I can pull this off actually. Something like that maybe. Combine all these shadows together, like this side of the building there, behind. That's got a bit of darkness like on the back like that. Good. Bring them down, and where the figures are further down the page as well. I tend to actually darken a bit down the base here. Just darken a bit down the base with the brush. Just, you know, cutting around those bits of light like this. Okay, getting through it. Let's put in a bit more color here in the background. And look, a lot of these buildings are just in the light, so there's not much really to do there. But we want to create that same pattern, that shadow pattern here. So I want to emphasize this building more. And it's actually, you know, it doesn't look like this in the reference, but you know, I want to put in more darkness on the left hand side of the building, and then leave that right hand side of the building lighter to indicate some extra light on that building. Yep. So just a bit here, maybe a bit under the rooftop like that. I need to create extra darkness here as well. Just a bit of join there. Yeah, there we go. This building here, yeah, it's kind of darker, so I will add in some more paint in for this one. Just picking out little bits of details that I can add on here as well to indicate the top of that building, like that. Okay, here's another part there. Here, oops, I just want to make that more quick. Okay, light wash over the top of that building. Bring that down while preserving the light from that one as well. Okay, and you know, this is why it's so much easier when you've got all your paint pre-mixed at the bottom, like a big pool of paint to use, because then you're not fussing around so much, having to remix things. Okay, coming down. And this is where I want to do the shadows of everything as well, because we've got this large sort of shadow shape over on the ground. So continuing on, let's just get in more paint in here. Okay, a bit more purple perhaps. Yep. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the figures at the same time, I think. Hold this smaller round brush in my hand just in case. Okay, so let's just do it. What I'm trying to imagine is some light streaks over on the ground. Mix up some more purple, bit of neutral tint, bit of brown in here. Maybe a bit more purple and blue in there. Okay, just want to get in a dark color. Okay, here we go. Here's where it starts, somewhere like here. And let's just do something like this. Bring that across, and I can just imagine maybe some light cutting across in areas. There. So I'm not painting all of it. I'm leaving some white on the page. White, not white, but the previous color that's on there. That yellowy color. Okay. Let's just think of maybe a larger shadow coming in here. Like that, behind that car. It's going to be like the wheel of that car, like this. Usually a bit of darkness underneath as well, like that. A little bit of darkness under the car. So I'm trying, as you can see, to get in like a shadow shape that crosses over and joins everything together. The feet, the legs of the figures as well. As you can see, I'm just trying to get them in quickly at the same time. Let me swap over. I'm using the wrong brush. I should be using one that's thicker. Not thicker, but has better control. So this smaller round brush, which is like a synthetic brush, works well. We can get in some more kind of shadows here, cutting through those figures in the distance. Okay, look at that. Looks like something, doesn't it? Oops, some of them actually, forgotten, they actually carry on. The shadows carry on through the center of these figures. But I want to leave a bit of, yeah, I want to leave a bit of white on these figures and kind of perhaps get in a kind of a shadow shape cutting through the front a bit more. Like that. Let's try it. Let's just try it, yeah? There you go. So there's a bit of this shadow cutting across. Should I bring it all the way across? Let's just do it like around here. Something like that. Okay. Bit different from the reference here. But I wanted to get a bit more light in here. Change it up, you know. Okay. All right. Let's start with the figures to the left. A little bit of those figures to the left. And another thing you can do is, you know, underneath the buildings here as well, you can start just adding in a bit of extra darkness. And, you know, this area of the painting is still pretty wet. Okay. So you've got opportunities to change up what you've painted in there. And in the final step, we'll actually go through and do all the really, really dark bits. But if we can get a few of them in now, we're good to go, you know. Oh, underneath the car, you want to put in a little line here, joining up the wheels, like that, yeah? Join for the wheels, and then the shadow of the car kind of going to the left-hand side, okay? There we go. Bit of that shadow for the car. And I might make that join up with this figure slightly. That's not the best leg I've put in there, but doesn't matter. We'll make do. There. Again, I might just do a darker figure here behind that car, and that will hopefully bring out the detail in the front of that car. Touch. Now the shadows on this side of the building, these are can be a bit tricky, but let's just do it. Here on that side of the building, we've got a kind of a darker shadow, like this. Yeah. It's probably a little too dark. I'll just water that down a touch. Okay. There. Bring that down. And like that. Like that. And we're leaving little bits of light, remember, on the buildings. Okay, look at that. Just a touch of this paint like that. The shadow I'll do in a moment. Let's have a look. Let's try this side of this building. It's darker as well. That. Carry this downwards. There we are. Side of that building. Notice how all these shadows like connect up with each other. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look how this building is doing. Cut around that person as well. Good. Okay. And Shanolan says the shadow color lightens up, right? Yeah. It will lighten up a little bit. Everything that you paint in watercolors will always dry lighter. So you have to estimate what it looks like, which is not an easy task. It only comes with experience. Can't teach you exactly how to estimate. Yeah, you figure it out along the way. Look, this is just a bit of wet and wet painting. I'll just drop in a bit of color in here to create a bit of tonal variation again, so that it doesn't look all the same in this wall. You can even do things like pick up some paint and drop it in for the windows while it's still kind of wet, like here, like there, like just little indications like that to indicate these windows. You can also do it afterwards. This is just one way that you can put them in. It's up to you, like that. Okay, these are sharper sort of windows. As you can see, that area has already dried, so you get this kind of sharper edges compared to the softer edges there on that building. Those windows, I mean. Oh, there's some kind of... It's kind of like darker building behind here. I'm going to get that in. Because it helps to form the rooftop of this building here in front. Oh, gotta be careful. There we go. Yep, there we go. Just a bit of that. Maybe some more buildings here in the background. Just a brief indication of them. Quick little indication. Okay. Looking good. Okay. Let's go and then do this shadow. I'm gonna mix a bit of warmer color into this shadow, like a bit of yellow in there. And I'll test it. Let's have a look. Alright, that looks okay. There. Maybe some more purplish color. As I move through, sort of the shadow ends like here. Like that. Edge of that building. Yeah. Bit of shadow underneath this one as well. Good. And the consistency of color I'm using is, again, like pretty light wash. So I'm going maybe 70% water here. Mostly just water. Okay. At the same time, while I'm here, why not just put in some indications of the windows, the little frames. Like I can just drop in, and it's weird because you notice I'm kind of painting with these broken lines. The broken lines, funny enough, after you get the hang of it, it makes it look like maybe a little bit of light being reflected onto the edge of the window sills and stuff like that. So don't know, I find that when I start drawing the windows too perfectly, it then starts to look stuck on and artificial. Okay, bit of darkness up the top. There's even some darkness up in this little section here. Let's drop a bit in like that. What we got here, a bit here as well, a bit of darkness here. Wet and wet. Something here, I don't know what that is. The line across the building like there as well. These little bits and pieces. Here at the base of the building we've got, again, these like doors and stuff, following downwards. So I'm going to just go and indicate some of those. These windows long enough, they're probably just, I'll extend them a bit like that. Like that's kind of, alright. We've even got like these little poles and stuff here. Look at that. There's like, just running up. I don't know if I'll emphasize them too much. Yeah, that should do. draw them in with let me have a look. We're going to draw in these lamps, indications of lamps. Oop, there's one, there's another one, maybe another one here. Okay. And that's what I use these smaller brushes for. They are just great for detailing. Okay. Just got to be careful. I'm not overdoing it. The shadow underneath the bottom of the building, you can see here it's like a little shadow here just running across. Let's just get in some of that light wash of paint under the buildings there. This also cuts around the car, so you've got that kind of white of the car, as you can see. And then over the top you've got this like shadow in the background that will help to bring out the shape of the car. Not just that the figures, see that one there? Shape of that figure is being brought out because I'm coloring in the background a bit darker. And this is called negative painting, where you are painting around something to bring out the color of it, the shape of it. Okay. All right. Really from here, it's just putting in small details. I'm going to check the questions. If there's any questions, let me know. You can also slow down the scene as well by clicking on the cog, and you can play. I think you can play the video back at like half speed or something if you're on YouTube. Margaret's asking, is your paper flat or slightly slanted? Yep. So it's slightly slanted. It's probably like on probably on like a 10-degree slant. You can get a little magazine or something and stick it underneath, and that helps. And I find like having the paper slanted just helps the water to move downwards a little bit, and creates just like nicer looking washes. Might soften this shadow here, like, and how am I softening it? What I'm doing is that I'm picking up a bit of water and just touching onto the edge of that shadow so that it's not too harsh. I don't know, I might do it like over here as well. I feel just in some of these areas they're just a little bit too harsh looking. A little bit of that could be nice. There we go. But the sharpness in there is actually what I wanted with most of the shadows. But again, just variations. Look at the car. Again, it's just about putting in small details on there to bring out the profile of the vehicle. Yeah, just a bit there, maybe under here as well. Left side of the car like that. Okay. Not only that, but you can also just bring out the wheels more so that it looks more detailed underneath. Can even create a different color for the car later if you'd like. Just put in a bit more darkness on the windscreen to the left side of the car as well. I just want to darken that off a bit. Okay, good. I've forgotten this one, this bus off in the background. I'll just connect up the wheels a bit like that. There we are. That's all it takes. A bit of darkness underneath, like that. And a bit of darkness for the windscreen. Okay. Look at that. We've managed to preserve a few of the figures, the heads of some of the figures, like that. Just cut around these ones a little bit to bring them out further. The heads of the figures, especially these ones in the foreground, they look better. Or they just look more like figures if you manage to cut around them. Okay, so we are really getting there. We're almost done. While I'm here as well, I thought let's put in some little shadows off in the background. I'm going to pick up some of this same paint, but I'm going to add more water in for this shadow. Julie's saying, do you draw the car stylized to match the people? I try to simplify the car. Maybe it does look stylized, but I try to simplify it down. I don't think I had like a particular intention with the style of the car. I just wanted to make it look like the car, just like a box shaped car, I suppose. And what I'll do, here in the background, you see, look at these mountains, right? There's these like bits of, I don't know what you call them, like shadows. Of course, they're called shadows. But notice how the shadows bring out a bit of the shape of the buildings because you're cutting around the buildings, right? So the shadows, of course, need to be a little darker than the buildings. The whites, not the white, but the yellowy part of the buildings. Okay, like that. I don't want it to be as dark as that, though. There. This can be part of the painting where people get a bit worried because again, this negative painting style where you're just cutting around shapes. You want to just do it once and leave it. Okay, it's not easy, but it really helps to bring out this sort of light on the building. Okay. Whoopsies, gone over it too much. There. Look at that, just cutting around it like that so that we can create that sense of light on the building. If it's too light in the background as well, we can just go and add in a bit more paint in there just to darken that background a bit. Okay, and of course, here we have all these little houses and things that we'd painted in before, and all of that's I'm just cutting around it, right? Again, just cutting around it. Some of them are going to be white, some of them are just whatever. Here's another mountain or something in the background, just dropping in a bit of paint there to indicate like a shadow on the mountain. Might be a shadow here as well, just little bits there. Okay, there we go, just everything around. There's just this large shadow shape that kind of extends downwards, and then that's it. At times you might even want to just, again, like I said before, just darken a bit around the edges of some of these. Oh no, that's okay. I'll bring that back with some gouache later on. Gone into the top of that building a bit too much. Just getting excited. A bit of darkness in here. Okay, I just want to drop in a bit more there. Okay, let's have a look here on this side. I've got just a bit of paint running to the left. Should I get some here? Why not? Bit of darkness here. But for the rest of it, I'm going to leave kind of lighter, soften that down. Dark there, a bit darker to form that edge of the building. Here's a bit of shadow coming across that mountain as well. A bit here. Just quick little indications. There's another one here, like that. Okay, that's about it. I don't think I want to muck around with it anymore. That was an accident. You got to work with your mistakes. It can be a frustrating thing for beginners when you're learning, and with watercolors, it's very, very tricky when you make a mistake because it's not like you can really go over them like in acrylics. So you kind of got to work with them or do minor corrections. I'm not going to put any birds in this one. I always put birds in them, but I've been told I do birds too much. And I want to just see what it looks like without the birds. How's that? Softening off a bit of color here. So what I'm doing is just putting a bit of water on my brush, shifting this water through the painting to soften up a bit of these shadows in the background, like that. Okay. All right, we are getting there. I'm going to give this one last dry. Actually, I don't think I'll need to do that. don't think I need to do that. We just got to put in the figures and maybe some windows and stuff on this building. I'm having a look at it because it looks kind of dry already. Let's have a look. What we got? So the church is almost invisible now. Yeah, I will bring out some of the details with the with some gouache later on, Michelle, because I've accidentally gone over the top of it a bit. Now let's pick up really dark paint. I'm going to use some a little bit of this neutral tint, and I'll dry it off and just put in like this little section here, okay, there, and you can draw in tiny little details like this, okay, little details on the top of that church. Here the window, another window here, like that, a couple of windows. You can indicate the architecture, these little bits and pieces here, okay, with a small synthetic brush. You'd be surprised what a few quick marks can do. Okay, like that. This like kind of doorway, window or whatever there, and this one kind of further down like that. Okay, and even the edge of this one kind of like that there. Let's do this one simplified. Let's try to simplify this down so I'm not here forever, like that. Penny's asking, could you paint the car a color like light blue or something? Yes, you can. Yeah, so because that's left white, we can always go through later and add some color. That's completely fine. Yeah, I've just left it white for whatever reason. Maybe because I just couldn't decide what color to paint it before. A bit more here. Top of this. There. A bit here. Here. Really, I'm just using a lot of dark paint, but kind of dry brush technique. So pick up that paint, dry it off in a bit of towel, and then continue on to just kind of add it in, and that creates a bit more of a. It doesn't look too wet, and basically just indicates some details. So there we go. We got something in here. Got that church there in the background. You do the same thing. Do sort of. Emphasize some of these windows or whatever on these buildings here. Even a bit of this wall, you could just drop in extra paint to indicate some detail on it. I mean, there's really so much in this wall. I'm just really wondering how I was going to do this to begin with, but I think just getting it to mix around with the shadow here on the ground was good, and having maybe a bit of a darker line running there, something like that, might be good, and a bit of like a perspective line here. Let's just check that one out. How does that look? That looks all right. You see in the ground, there's actually these little bricks and stuff, eh? Little bricks. You don't have to do them. I don't know, should we put them in? Let's just try maybe a few. I know, I tend to not like doing these little bricks and stuff. Just a few of these lines, and you make those lines run all the way to the end of the scene, like here. So imagine a dot here on the horizon line, and then you've got these lines just running towards it. Okay. Good shadow here. I've forgotten to get some of the shadows in for these figures. Let's put in some of the legs like this. There. Like there as well for that figure. And that shadow running towards the left, so they look a bit more representative of... there. Again there. There's a bit of this car shadow as well. Just trying to this last bit, you're just putting together the scene and making it putting in all these tiny little details, depending on how much you want. You know, this person here might have that bag, but then you might have someone, this person could be holding like a bag here to the side. This one here holding like some kind of satchel or whatever. Okay. The legs, sorry, of these figures, might just start putting in a bit of darkness and a bit of shadow for these ones as well, running towards the left. Okay. But I thought I'd leave in a tiny bit of color for them as well on the base. Okay. The heads of the figures, it's always good. I like to put in a bit of red or a bit of warmer color, like a bit of brown and red maybe mixed together. That could be nice to indicate the heads of the figures. You know, just a bit like that. There's even some figures here in the background I've missed out, but doesn't matter. Just a quick little something. Okay. You know, underneath these buildings as well, you can do things like add in a bit of extra color, or I don't know, I could put in a window here like that. You know, just a window that wasn't really there. Why not? A couple quick ones on the side of that building. Good. Okay. Just thinking, what else do we have left in here? We're pretty much done. For a quick little scene like this, I will spend a bit of time afterwards tidying it up and just adding in a touch more detail here and there. But you can get the idea of what I've been doing, which is basically painting all the lights and all the darkness in, so that you can see this general scene that emerges from here. What I'm going to do is I will dry this off quickly and get in a few little highlights and things like that, and go from there. Okay, so some quick finishing touches. I'm going to squeeze out a bit of white gouache on my palette. This is great for highlights. Just put in a little bit of detail for the figures. Before I do though, sometimes I think we're putting in a bit of hair, maybe a bit of quick little bits of hair for the figures may be good. Then we'll do the highlight. I don't have to do it for all of them, but just a little bit of some of them like that. Okay, good. So use a small round brush. This is like a size 2, I think, size 2 or 3 round brush, and a bit of white gouache, which is opaque watercolor paint, and we can bring out little highlights just on the shoulders of the figures, kind of to indicate the light source to the right hand side. Okay, like that. Bit of paint on the head and on the shoulder, like this. There. This one here as well. So just wherever you've lost a bit of that light on the scene, this is great. It just brings it back out again. I can even mix that up with a bit of yellow to get in a bit of that. You see how I just lost a bit of that light on top of this building before, of this church. Look at that, start to come back. Okay. I tend to try to use this quite sparingly as well. Otherwise it starts turning into yeah, just looking too much like a gouache painting. Yeah, there's little things that stick out there, just indicating them. A little bit here, a little bit here on the top of this one as well. There. A bit highlight here. What is this? It's like a kind of, yeah, just a little bit of highlight there. You can even bring out some of the houses and stuff, see? Just drop in like a bit of this gouache. You can mix, the great thing with gouache is that you can just mix it up with any other color, and then it makes that color opaque, right? So, you know, this is just little quick bits and pieces here. I'm not really trying to do much. There we go. You know, even on the wall or something like that, you can even a bit of dry brushing to get in some textures or something like that. I try not to mess around with that too much. Oh, what were we doing? The figures. So some more highlights on the figures. This bus, you know, I might want to bring out the lights on the tip of the top of that bus as well, a bit more, like, and you can reshape the car a touch too, if you want. You know, these ones in the darkness, you can just touch on and create a bit of light on the heads and the shoulders of the figures, like that. On the bag, let's put a bit in the bag as well, like that. Here, there's a few figures here that's kind of just walking in the distance, so just put in a bit of light on their heads and shoulders. Okay, here, that's one here as well. Here as well. That one there. The areas where you've got most of these like large contrasts, it tends to work better, where because it's quite dark in the background. You know, pick out little bits and pieces you might want to, I don't know, draw out or what have you. Create a touch of this light in areas. Here, because I lost a bit of that light for that edge of the building, why not just touch in a bit of that gouache to bring it back there. Okay, so I'll take the tape off and see what we've got, and let me know how you guys have gone. I hope you've made it through to the end. We've just got about maybe 50 people through, so you've done super well to get through to this stage. And I will probably work on this a little bit more after the session as well to add in extra details. But I mean, as is, I quite like how it's how it looks for a little scene like that. You know, at least what I've got in is a kind of a general feel of the location. Probably the one thing that annoys me is this wall. Like, I want to get in a bit more detail there, but at the same time, I don't want to lose the beauty of that wash. So pop your questions and your feedback in the comments. How did you go? Did you enjoy it? And did you feel challenged? I'd like to hear what you thought and whether you got through everything. Okay, let's have a look. We've got Pamela saying it's looking good. Thanks, Pamela. Glass on the lamps, a bit of reflection. Oh yeah, I forgot to put in. Yeah, a bit of reflection on the lamps would have been nice. But again, yeah, those are just bits of icing on the cake. You know, once you've got the light and the shadows in, the rest of it, your mind kind of fills in the rest. So really just picking out all the really light areas and the dark areas and bring them out. So guys, I want to just while I'm waiting for comments and stuff like that, I want to talk a bit about a course that I have running, and it's a 46 course watercolor program. I talk about this at the end of most of my sessions these days, but what I'll do, I'll bring that up quickly. If you want to learn a little bit more, if you want to actually just have an entire program that I've created that actually goes into a lot more detail than what I've gone through today, you might want to stick around and have a look at it. So it's just a little introduction. You can see here, these are some of the paintings I did when I first started out. That's what I was painting, and it took me a really long time to figure out this process of painting the light, the dark, and also just being able to plan your paintings, like using your drawing to compose. And because it was just frustrating me a lot when you're not able to basically carry out those techniques. You might understand how those techniques work, but how to put them all into practice in a process from start to finish, even specifically how to mix colors, how much water put in there, I think that really bugged me and hindered me in the beginning. So this is what I've got. I've got a 46 course program. It's going to help you, and I've got quite a few students in there already who are quite happy with it. I get a fair bit of feedback and emails and stuff with questions on paintings and reviews of paintings and stuff like that. And it will help you to become more confident and understand how to convert any reference photo into a painting, whether you be outside, you're painting outside from a scene, or just a photograph. It'll help you be able to pull that off in pretty much any scene that you want to do. I also have portrait classes in there as well. This is what's included there. Like I said, it's 46 course program. There's hundreds of hours of demonstrations. I don't know exactly how many there are in there. I think there's at least 300, 400, 500 hours of demonstrations. You get all the live recorded workshops that we've done in the past. I think there's about 40 something workshops, and about half of those workshops have 2 or 3 demonstrations in there. So there's all that plus the additional 46 courses. And I'll show you what the courses look like. Here's one of the paintings from one of my courses. It's a line and wash painting. Okay, similar sort of style. And you can learn at your own pace, step by step, narrated. Here's some of the scenes that you will be able to access as part of the course, just a few of them that you can see. Just bring up here on the screen. So I've got all kinds of different subjects, that mostly landscapes, loose landscapes, but I do have portraits, like quick figure drawings, demonstrations. This one is kind of similar to the one that we did today, isn't it? You can see it's a scene of Chinatown over in London. So here's, do a bit of portraiture. Line and wash is something I really love doing as well, guys. So just being able to get that kind of sketch in with the pen, and it shows through, like, compared to what we do today, which is, a lot of it's just the pencil doesn't show through. You can't see the pencil. It's completely different. You can see it. So it forms part of your painting. That's another beach workshop we did in the past. So, it's little bits and pieces. When does it stop? I've put too many photos on this thing. So here are some of my teacher ratings. I get a lot of good feedback on different platforms. I teach on various platforms, but Facebook is just one of them. And you can see some of my ratings, some of the reviews that I get from my students as well. So at the moment, I think I haven't counted on all the platforms, but I at least have about maybe 3,000 or so students overall, just on these external platforms. So it's you see the average is based on quite a few people. Facebook has been something that I've been doing every single month in terms of these live workshops. So this program, there's a few bonuses I wanted to include in this program as well. So I review paintings, and I think that's really good because it allows you to get tailored feedback. Often you do a course and you get stuck halfway, or you do your painting and you kind of feel like it doesn't really match up to what you expected. And I think being able to get help and tailored feedback is important. I mean, I can say something very general, but everyone's at different stages of their painting, and I can look at your painting and think, okay, you've done this well, you've done that well, and try to work a bit more on this. I can identify that and be able to sort of get into my head a little bit to see how I think. So we'll save you time. We have a private group as well on Facebook. You'll be able to access that and ask and answer questions. I'll answer questions, but you can ask questions in there. Get some priority feedback. You can also email me. Additional courses will be added over time. So this is pretty interesting. So basically, if you want to get all of my courses, you can purchase it through this program all in one. I've got 3 more courses that I'm actually editing at the moment and will be posting in the coming weeks. So there'll be 49 courses in there, plus all the demonstrations that we do, all the workshops that we do, all the ads-free workshops. So a lot of content in there. I think I mentioned this one before. The previous live workshops, you get access to all of those ads free. You play them whenever you want. So basically, in the course, you get 46 courses. In terms of the student support, 2 months student support. So you can contact me individually, but even afterwards you have access to the group. You can post your questions there and I'll get back to you. So normally I put this up on my website for $497, but I do these specials every now and then, and today if you want to purchase it, you can get it for $297. There are 2 ways though that you can purchase. So you can buy it all at once, but I know for some people that might not be an option. You can try it out for $30 a month through my Patreon as well. And there's different tiers on my Patreon. If you're interested in my workshops and you got something out of this one, and you feel like you want to learn a bit more, you can have a look on Patreon. There's different options there. But again, that's the main one, and you get access. The $297 gets you access to all my future courses as well. So I think it's pretty good value. And if you're interested, let me know in the chats. Just type enroll or interested or something like that, and I'll send you the link. But the link is actually pinned to the top of the class, not the class, but the chats. So if you have any questions, let me know. I do have a few people ask me questions after the workshop as well about my course. So if you are keen to learn a bit more, let me know and I'll get back to you. But I also just want to hear generally today, guys, like how did you do? And are there any other questions before I kind of head off and grab some lunch? It's a nice day over in Melbourne. We've had like a few weeks of just like crappy weather, so it's nice. These are just a few student testimonials that I have up here. I'll show you a bit of what's included in the course as well, the Watercolor Essentials program. So let me just move that over. Oh, it's kind of like loading a little bit. Let's have a look. Yvonne says, challenged as always. That's a good thing. Glad you made it through to the end, Yvonne. Have you been, by the way? I've actually been working on a few different things this month, because I'm some of you don't know, but I have a kind of interest in electronics and stuff like that as well, and I've been trying to learn how to do painting with flashlights. So they call it like light painting, and you have the camera on, and then you get your flashlight out, and you sort of draw stuff in the air and create these kind of images through that. So I've been playing around with that as well. I've got a lot of time next month in September where I'll just creating lots of art and having fun doing it, and creating some more watercolor courses as well. Robin says, I have lots of figures. I remember not wanting to put them in when I first started painting with you. I really enjoyed the scene. Yeah, when you look at them in the reference photo, you think, oh God, how am I gonna put them all in? But you don't need to put them all in. Just put in as many as you want, and the level of detail as well. I just want to get in a sense of the scene, an impression of the scene. I don't know why, but after, you know, doing everything realistically, you kind of just want to put more of your own vision on it. And the technical parts of art are very important to understand, because to create a loose painting, you need to understand the technical side of everything, and how to create proportions, accuracy, perspective as well. So yeah, Catherine, Kate, thank you, Darren. Kate Piper says, thank you, Darren. Great session. Need to repeat the journey. Great, Kate. Good to see you again. Thank you for coming along. Gonna have a look at Facebook. What we got here? Just have a look. And again, guys, if you want to learn a bit more, you can check out my course. It's in the description, and it's also my Patreon is also in there as well, so you can check it out if you're interested in learning a bit more, and if you want to support me. Having a look, what else do we have? Just checking through the chats. I've missed out quite a few. Nice. Before I go through that, I'll just quickly show you what's in this course. I've forgotten I actually had the thing up. So you can see here on the right hand side, or on the screen here, you can see all what you get access to in the course. So these are some of the courses: loose watercolor painting, beach landscapes. There's 10 lectures, projects in there. Painting boats and water. There is all kinds of subjects, really. Mountain landscapes, natural landscapes. We've even got a course on creating Christmas cards. Vibrant landscapes in watercolor. So these are just the watercolor ones, and then you go on and you can find all these line and wash ones, which are a little bit different. They're using ink pen and then using watercolor over the top of that. So I've got quite a few of them. I started out doing some of the Venice ones, and lately I've gone into more other types of landscapes. There's portraiture as well, if you're interested in learning portraiture. And of course, I've got all the bonus like live workshops that I've done, but all these are like ads free. You don't have to like sit through those. So that's basically what you get in there, and how you access it is, say like you want to have a look at this one, Australian landscapes, for example, and I want to go to, I don't know, like bush landscape or something. I can click on that one, and that will bring you through to the video. It's a little bit slow because I've got my computer just streaming so many things that are streaming at the same time. Whoops. Let me just take that audio off, and you can see here, and that's a scene that I did the other day, like an Australian landscape, and you can go ahead and play each video. So it's all on demand, and again, you get that support as well if you need it throughout that course. So I'll just quickly go through. Let's have a look. Who else do we have in the chats? I will bring up my painting quickly to just give you my final thoughts. Get rid of that. Okay, there we go. That turned out okay, didn't it? So, that's okay. I thought I closed the wrong window. Nope, that's okay. Just going through the chat. Sorry guys, just feel where I kind of left off. Love the shadowing. Thank you, Patricia. Nanita says, nice watercolor painting. I'll try to do one like this. Thanks, Nanita. George likes it. Thank you, George. Gail says, I have to rewatch this. This is a wonderful lesson. Thanks, Gail. I'm glad you got some value out of it. Edna says, you've simplified a difficult scene to paint. Thank you for sharing your techniques. Thank you. Thank you all for joining and following along with me today. I'm glad that you guys have actually enjoyed it and you've learned something from this session. And there was a lot that we covered today. Really a lot that we covered today, but like I try to simplify it down as much as I can. And you can spend a lot of time on these paintings, and if you want to put in more detail, just spend more time on each specific area. But I tend to only spend 1.5 hours with most of my paintings. Marion says, thanks, Darren. I think I'll need to do the sketch beforehand, as I found it hard to see on my screen. yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because the drawing, in fact, I think is one of the most important parts of painting. And I tend to sketch pretty quickly. I know even when I slow it down, I'm leaving people behind at times. So thanks for coming along. Anne says, "Hi, thanks so much. Very informative. Thank you, Anne." Laurie says, "Thanks for sharing. It was amazing to watch you work through the process." Thank you, Laurie. And yeah, I think going through my thoughts while I'm painting, I've found people like that because I'm actually telling you what and why I'm doing things and how I'm mixing paints and stuff like that, rather than just doing it and getting you to figure it out on your own. Obviously, the demonstration part of it is a huge thing where you're watching what I'm doing and you can work a lot of it out. But when I explain how I'm mixing the paints and the proportion of water and what techniques I'm using, wet on dry, to create different edges, I think it makes sense to you. So because those techniques are not just learned in isolation, you're learning those techniques in the context of something that you're painting, like a building or a person or a shadow or something like that. So it makes more sense, I think, when I explain it in that way to people. Anne says, "Enjoyed both sessions today. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you, Anne." And Maria says, "Thanks for a good lesson." Thanks, Maria. And Roy from WPG, is that Winnipeg? Very good very good representation of a loose style of architecture. Myself, I prefer landscapes. Yeah, do you mean like kind of natural landscapes, Roy? I'm a big fan of those now these days as well. I think just the amount of freedom that you get to do stuff and add in trees and rocks, and you get a quick representation of that. I enjoy that a lot more these days, so I'm not bound to the reference picture too much. Gail says, "First time catching you live session. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day." Thanks, Gail. Thanks for coming along. Beverly Luca says, "Thank you for sharing." Thanks, Beverly. Thanks for coming along. And I'm just having a look, checking the other windows. I've got a few windows open, so I've got Perla here as well. Hi, Perla. Great. So remember, guys, if you're interested in the course, it is available in the chat, so you can just have a look at the it's in the description of the video. You can see the link to my Patreon as well as the link to the entire course. And if you're interested, check it out. And if you have questions, let me know as well. So I'll give you guys another minute or so to ask me some questions, or if you have any comments or stuff like that, before I start wrapping up. But I think we're all good. I've got, how many people have we got now? We've still got about 23 of you watching, making it through to the end. So you've done super well. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. I'm going to end it here. I will see you next month, and planning to get a few more videos out on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube, jump onto watercolormentor.com. Sorry, youtube.com/watercolormentor. At my website, watercolormentor.com, there's a whole bunch of resources there, a lot of free stuff that you can go through, previous workshops that you can go through and learn that way. So I will catch you around. Thank you, Pamela, and well done for joining along. Well, I'm joining along today. Post it in the group. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I've got a bunch of groups on Facebook. If you look it up, there's Watercolor Beginners, so facebook.com/groups/Watercolor Beginners, and there's also facebook.com/groups/Watercolor Mentor. And those two groups you can join on and post your work, get some feedback, and just be part of the community. And it's great. It's a great little community. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to end the stream, but I will see you all next time.